Hey everyone, welcome back to the Inland Empire Coaches Talk. Today I have the head baseball coach from Jurupa Hills, Leon. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good to be here.
You've been in the Inland Empire and coaching for several decades, so you don't really need an introduction, but for the folks that don't know, give everyone a little bit of background on you and the different programs you've coached throughout the years.
61 years old. I've been high school baseball coach for about 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Coached some college baseball with Stan Sanchez at Valley College and 3 years at University of Redlands. Been an assistant, and I've been a head baseball coach for 16 years in high school.
Perfect. So you've obviously worked with, we also haven't talked about your minor league experience, but you've had the pleasure of working with and under some brilliant minds in the Inland Empire.
I have.
Talk about some of the pillars and the people that have molded your game as a coach.
The first person that probably comes to mind is Stan Sanchez. Just a great baseball mind.
Mm-hmm.
He's just got that get after it thing that I like. I played that way, and he coached that way. So when I got an opportunity to play for the Spirit in 1987, he was one of my coaches. Rich Dower was our manager, and it was just a comfortable feeling because they're about just get your job done.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't any of this rah-rah, go get them stuff. It was just like, you have a job to do, go do it. And Stan coached that way in college, and I coach that way now. I'm not a big rah-rah guy. Look, all 9 of you have a job to do. Go do your job, and we should be okay. So I'd say Stan Sanchez. Billy's a really dear friend of mine. I just coaching against him all his life is, and we're so much alike. You just watch the way we get after it. We have a lot of comparisons. Darren Espinoza,
Mm-hmm.
I coached him a little bit. Just love the way he gets after it. Esteban Valencia at Redlands, he's the AD now.
Mm-hmm.
I coached him a little bit. So it's nice to see kids that you coached at some point to grow up and just become great high school coaches. And those three, I hold in high esteem, all three of them. And I personally know the three of them, so it's easy to say that.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit. You've kind of tiptoed into that you're a hard-nosed style coach. Talking with Billy a little bit earlier, the advent of the long ball and travel ball has changed baseball as we know it.
Yes.
In this last decade exponentially. But what is your style of coaching when it comes to high school baseball, and why do you think it's important to keep that style alive right now?
I'm a big compete person. I've had a history of my kids have never cared who we play. They don't care. You show up, if you're 6'5", 220, your entire team, and we're 5'7", 150, we don't care. And that's just my personality. The kids kind of take that on. I've always had a philosophy that everybody dresses the same. You show up on time. You wear the same exact things. You look the same exact way. You encourage your teammates, whether you're playing or not. I've always encouraged the kids that are playing to understand that the kids that aren't playing are just as important to our end goal,
mm-hmm.
and that's winning. And that's winning league championships, and hopefully before I'm through coaching, a CIF championship. So, I'm really tough on our kids. I'm really tough on them, super tough on them. But they get it. It's never personal. They know it's not personal. There's an expectation that goes with this. And if you're not meeting that expectation, I'm going to let you know it. And sometimes it's not so nice. The one thing I've learned by getting older, though, is when I get on a kid now, I've learned to always go back an inning or two later during a ball game and just ask the kid, you get it? You know what I'm talking about, right? And the kid receives that really well. It's like, yeah, I got it, B. I understand. Okay, don't make the same mistake today. Okay, let's not make that same mistake again. So, I've gotten a little softer in my days, and, I've gotten older, and you've learned more, and you kind of watch other people, and you kind of pick and choose your battles with these kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And I think that's more indicative of that West Coast small ball style of coaching. Mm-hmm. You look at Augie Garrido, Horton, and their hard-nosed mentality, because they're playing the game, they're grinding, they're not expecting the long ball, they're not expecting the cheers from the crowd, because you're playing a chess match.
Yeah.
And I think that that style is very akin to, especially in California, so Southern California, because you look at the UC Santa Barbaras, you look at what Chapman and Cal Lou and Redlands have been able to do at the D3, what Randy does at Cal Poly, and Gary Adcock in our backyard. They're all very small, grinded out styles, but they're no-nonsense coaches. They're extremely transparent.
That's right.
And if you, I'm going to throw travel ball under the bus a little bit here, if you're only looking at showcases and getting patted on the back, you're going to have a really hard reality check if your goal is to get to collegiate baseball.
That's right.
And then even farther, because once we get to professional baseball, it's a business.
Right.
No, you're punching a clock. And I think a lot of folks aren't used to that mentality. So obviously things have been changing a lot. Talk to me about March and March 13th, because we're currently sitting with our masks in the COVID reality that we're sitting in.
Yeah, it's a tough time. We had a really good ball club. We had two of the top arms in the county, in my opinion. It was just a really tough time for me, for my kids. And going back to what you said a little bit, one of the things I always tell our kids during a grind, during a ball game, I tell our kids, you keep this game close, I'll figure out a way to win it. But you got to keep it close. You do your part. You keep this a 1 or 2 run game, and I'll figure out a way to win this when it's over with. That's my job. I always tell my kids, we lose a run ball game, I did something wrong. We win a run ball game, you did something right. I tell my kids that all the time. Last year, I think we won 25 games last year. We won, not last year because we didn't finish our year, but the year we won 25 games, we were losing 16 of those games in the 5th inning. And I just told our kids, you got to grind. It's time to go. It's time to push that button and go. And our kids got it. And we'd figure out how to win those ball games. So I've taken a lot from the Bettons and the Adcocks because they coach the same way. They're great baseball minds. And they know that if you give them a chance as a coach, as a manager, to win a ball game in the 6th or 7th inning, they're going to figure it out. They're going to make the right moves. They're going to put the right person in the right place. And that's what I do. I try and put our coaches and my own coaches in that position as well. I want to touch on travel ball a little bit. Back in the 90s, I was in charge of the Inland Empire Stars for about 7 years. And back in the day, the only other travel ball team around was ABD, Mike Spears. And Mike and I were really close. And we'd go to tournaments out of town all the time, Arizona, Las Vegas, Orange County. We always go to tournaments, and it was really funny because we'd always end up in the championship game. And I like to reckon that we did it right. We taught kids fundamentals. We taught kids how to get after the game. It wasn't about money back then. It was about teaching. It was about being present. It was about loving your teammates. It was about giving everything you have. It was about, going down to the store, and if there's not a brick available, tear the store down and bring one back. That's the way we coach, and that's the way I still coach. And travel ball's really lost that. It's become about trophies. It's become about these showcases, and it's just it's almost a shame. I hear my kids. I had a kid a couple years ago. Hey, I'm going to a showcase this weekend. I can't make it to a game, and I'm like, dude, you throw 79. What are you going to a showcase for? Because they're not going to talk to you unless you throw 89. And you throw 79. Why are you going to a showcase? Why are you wasting your $350?
Yep. I had UNLV this last year before we got cut off, and Greg Maddox's son is their number 2. And Greg is now their pitching coach and whatnot, but he's teaching them the IQ of how to pitch.
Yes.
And they were playing Creighton, and Creighton had no idea what to do with a kid that threw 83, 84.
Thank you.
That then had a 65-mile-an-hour changeup. But he told his son, all of a sudden he threw a fastball and it got flat. First words out of Greg's mouth, you do not have the arm to throw that pitch. Came out and his son went back, kept throwing, and they kept swinging over the top of it.
That's right.
Because the IQ is maximize the talents that you have, not what is popular and what you see on MLB Network. Yeah, Boone can come out and say, we're savages in the box. Yeah, you have a guy that has wrists the size of my calf.
Thank you.
It's a completely different game. Mm-hmm. And I think that education and the baseball IQ will translate from junior high, high school, college, into professional baseball.
You bet.
Completely differently than, okay, we're going to talk about launch angle and bend your elbow here to get an additional 5 degrees of loft. Mm-hmm. If I want 5 degrees of loft, I'm going to go buy myself a sand wedge.
Thank you. You're exactly right. Yeah, it's changed a lot. I can tell you, I don't know a lot about pitching, but I can tell you this. I call every pitch of every game, and I bet you we throw more 2-0 curveballs and 2-0 changeups than anybody in baseball. And I force my kids to do it. I go, you got to be able to do it. There is no excuse. We're not going to shove 82-mile-an-hour fastballs in there so kids can hit them in the gap. We're not. We're going to learn to throw 2-0 curveballs. We're going to learn to do a waggle 2-1 fastball, and we're going to throw what we need to throw 2-2. So you need to compete your ass off and get it done. It's just simple. We keep it like that. It is what it is.
Yep.
You can't throw a 2-0 curveball, you're not going to pitch. Because we're not going to just keep shoving 2-0 fastballs over the plate so our outfielders can run them down for you.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember when I got into college baseball, and everyone, I don't even know if we still send recruiting tapes with Twitter and everything else now, but I remember my coach sat down with me and showed me my recruiting video, which was all my highlight reel, and he goes, all right, you have 45 minutes. I would like a list of 10 things you did wrong. And I go, but this is my highlight video, coach. And he goes, yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. He goes, you hit 500 in high school. You'll be lucky if you can bat your weight in Division I baseball.
So true.
And it's just a reality check of, you may be, like you said, you have the 2 best arms in your county, potentially, last year before we got cut short. That's in your county. Mm-hmm. Cal State Fullerton is nationally pulling.
Thank you.
Mark Martinez at San Diego State is getting guys from everywhere.
You bet he is.
They're coming from Canada, from Mexico. I had Arkansas last year or 2 years ago on TV, and the kid was throwing 96 as a cutter. And you're like, wait, what? Mm-hmm. It's just a different animal. It's a different game. And unless you haven't been babied or you have the ability to look in the mirror and have that honest conversation, you're going to have a really hard time transitioning to that next level.
You bet. I was just reading this morning about Tampa Bay and their payroll, $28 million. Mm-hmm. And the manager was talking about, I got a whole group of guys in the bullpen that can throw 98. Mm-hmm. You bet you do. And they're all making $500,000.
Yep.
You know? And I'm like, that's a tough thing to do. Have to face somebody 98 every day, all game. That's tough. So baseball has changed. Yep. It's turned into a velocity game.
Yep.
Because 20 years ago, 5 people in baseball threw 98.
Yep.
Everybody throws 98 now.
And now that everyone throws 98, they talk about arm slot and tunneling. So then that way you have to mix up your arm slots in a bullpen because, okay, if everyone throws 98 but everyone's throwing out of the same slot, mm-hmm. okay, they can get used to it.
Right.
Versus, okay, we used to talk about lefty-righty matchup. Now you're also talking about arm slot matchup for the tunneling so it looks the same way coming out of the hand for the first 30 feet. Mm-hmm. So it's a different... I love the resources that baseball has finally embraced with technology because it's now taken that chess game and made it look like checkers.
Yeah, I was watching a video the other day when the Dodgers in Game 7 and they were showing the kid that pitched for the Braves Game 7 and they were showing a diagram of where his curveball, his changeup, and his fastball, when they got close to the plate, mm-hmm. looked like. 3 totally different pitches, but you don't know until they're 10 feet away.
Yep.
And that's just how complex the game's gotten.
Yep.
That everyone's throwing every pitch out of that same arm slot. And you're going, wow, that's crazy. Because back in the day, I remember guys, I could watch a guy on the mound when I played professionally, and I'd know when he got up here what he was throwing.
Yep.
You know, they don't do that anymore. You're getting everything from the same arm slot now.
Absolutely. I was talking to Clint Ball, and he goes, well, what's one of the greatest advantages I can give a small market, in his words, high school team? I go, baseball IQ. Mm-hmm. If for my son and when it comes to people that I'm trying to get to the next level in umpiring, if your baseball IQ isn't there, if everyone else is playing checkers, you can play chess, then you can advance because you're going to grow. You're going to be able to go and, I mean, look at all the different gyms that are out there now for and specialties. You can get bigger.
Yep.
You can get faster. But your eyes don't grow and your brain ain't growing unless you're always looking at it and trying to say, what don't I know?
That's been our advantage for a long time, our baseball IQ. That's completely been our advantage. We won 25 games a couple years ago with a bunch of 5'6", 5'7" kids that just didn't give it. For perfect example, Temescal Canyon came to our place. We played them in the championship game in the RBI tournament, and they all walked in with their pretty bags, and they were all 6'3", 6'4". And they walk into our park, and we have these, all these Mexican kids that are 5'6", 5'7", and their coaches are yelling, "You ready to win a championship? You ready to win a ball game today?" And I just tell my kids, just stay peaceful. Let's just all do our job. All do our job. Let's just cut them down. Cut them up a little bit at a time. Just keep cutting them up. We put a lefty on the mound, throwing 83, 84, beat him 3-2 at our place. Walk off, bases loaded walk, and we let them know. Don't just come in here and think you're just going to come in here and take advantage of us because you got some size. And that's been our advantage. Our advantage, for me anyway, for a long time, is that baseball IQ. I try and outsmart people. I try and outcoach people. That's my job. My job's not to write a lineup and stick it on the wall and go get them, guys. I tell our kids all the time, you keep this close, we'll figure it out. Okay, we're gonna do something later. Hey, we hit and run 2 years ago. We hit and run in a game we had to win with the bases loaded because I trust my kids.
Yep.
Hit and run with the bases loaded. People are like, was that hit and run? All he had to do was hit a ground ball, and he did. Hit a ground ball to shortstop screwed up, broke to second base on the play. We were going to score a run anyway. We scored 2 runs out of it. Inning breaks open, we end up scoring 7. So we put our kids in a position that we'll do anything at any time to win a baseball game. There's no fear with our kids. Our kids get a hit and run sign with the bases loaded. They just look at me, I got a job to do.
Yep.
They don't panic.
And I love it when coaches not only coach that way, but then you have the practice going that way.
Yeah.
Because then kids are used to pressure. I mean, we think about the Yankees 10 years ago where they bunted 4 times in a row, and you can't field a bunt and throw to first base. Yeah. You're a professional athlete.
Right.
But they don't live off of that. That's not the style that Girardi had. So it's like, okay, they're not obviously practicing that.
Right.
Versus you look at that small ball mentality, and Billy and I were talking about it earlier, the difference when Texas teams come out west and they played Augie Garrido and how Augie had to adjust his style when he went to Texas because that's not who Texas recruited.
That's right.
Versus what he had at Fullerton. And you look at that small ball grinded out mentality. Go watch Gary Adcock run his practice at CBU for 10 minutes and you go, the amount of pressure that they put him on. Same thing with Reggie Christensen up at Sac State.
Yeah.
And the speed of which, well, now you're cognitively having to think faster. When I'm training umpires, they're like, well, Mike, how do you get to learn to read fast? Read fast.
That's right.
You're going to mess up, but that's why it's practice. That's why we train. So practice makes permanent. If you're permanently going, oh, fast, you're going to now be faster than everyone else versus let me go take batting practice for 20 minutes and try to see how far I can hit it.
Yep.
It's a flat seam baseball with a BB core. You ain't going that far.
That's right.
So,
and I'm glad you brought the practice up. That's another thing I've kind of learned is that in the past we'd be on the field for 2.5 hours. So now we stretch at 2, and we play catch at like 2:10, and we try and get off the field by 3:30. I tell our kids we're going to turn the intensity up. We're going to challenge you today. We're going to go fast. No one plays faster than us. Nobody. We're going to outfast you. We're going to our tempo. We played games last year. We played a 58-minute game. Okay, we go. We get on and off. Our pitchers get a sign and go. Yep. Our catchers get it. They get with me right away. Okay, and we have hand signals. If you miss this, we have hand signals. We cannot get caught. And when guys step out on the other team, I tell our kids right away, it's okay. He can't step out all day. He can't. But we turn it up in practice. So if you come watch us practice for an hour, you'll know why we play the way we play.
Absolutely.
Because we practice. We get after it.
It's one of the reasons I always love umpiring in the WAC because look at a Pac-12 box score and 4 hours, 22 minutes versus a WAC is at 3 hours. What's the hour and a half difference in style? Well, they're just literally get on the bump and go. It's not... I have to be very careful about this. There's certain coaches and certain coaching styles that want to do 20 touches. I'm like, I'll call him Bob to protect the innocent. Bob, it's 3-0. Nobody's on. We know a fastball is coming. Right. I don't need 20 touches with you in the third base coach's box right now. Come on.
So I'm glad you brought umpires up because most umpires in the Inland Empire, they will tell you. I talked to Alan Hallisey on the phone the other day, and I know a lot of umpires. They love doing our games. They love it because they know, man, I'm going to be out of here in an hour and a half at the most, and it's going to be clean. It is going to be clean. It's going to be quick. It's going to be crisp. His kids don't ever talk back to us. They don't say a word to us. If they have a problem, they let him take care of it. And so I was telling Alan the other day, I said, yeah, we had some guy last year. He's doing a horrible job behind the plate. And I've built a pretty good reputation with umpires where I can get on an umpire and we have such a mutual respect that I have so many umpires that'll kind of say timeout and they'll walk over to the dugout and they'll go, hey, Leon, that's enough. I'm going, okay, I'm done. And I told Alan, last year I got this guy for 7 innings. I ripped him a new ass for 7 innings. He didn't say a word to me. I said, and coming to the end of the game, he made a mistake that cost the other team a win. He didn't say to me one time, hey, coach, that's enough. And I was getting him. You know, I was like, poke a hole in it, dude. How long have you been doing this? Really? They sent you here to do a game like this? Not a word. But towards the end of the game, he screwed it all up for the other ball club. He made a bad call. Cost that team a win. You think I care? No, it's my job. I told our kids, you keep it close. We'll figure it out. We figured it out that day.
Yep. I tell umpires that I'm training all the time. It's their job to fish. It's my job to reel them in.
Thank you.
I had a regional a few years ago where a team from Mississippi, and the kid this is home plate. Boom. Just sticking it. Ball. Next one. Same spot. Ball. Coach, Mike. And I go, it's this far. I don't know what y'all get at home, but get it over the black and you'll get a shot.
Thank you.
The other box? Not happening.
Right.
Turn around. Didn't hear a word from the rest of the game. And amazingly, the hand came over, the hand goes up.
That's right.
It's not hard. But too many people get in their own way when it comes, or they want to say, oh, it's personal. No. If I made anything personal it's like, I'm trying not to get political right now. It's like the whole thing with Trump and Biden. It's like, yes, they should be attacking each other.
That's
They're
their job.
Competing.
Thank you.
It's like, this is a war zone for them.
They don't go to lunch.
It's like, they're not going to be going. Like, it's funny because a lot of coaches, they can 100% be the fiercest competitors with each other for an hour, 3 hours, that one day a year, and be best friends the next day.
That's Billy and I.
Because you understand that this is a chess game. I'm here to win. I'm not here to fluff your pillow.
That's right.
And
that's completely me and Billy. We'll shake hands before the game. We've always, at the plate, hugged each other, tell each other we love each other. That's just who we are. And then once the umpire says play ball, I'm going to try and kick his ass. Okay? I don't like you for 3 hours. Okay? You don't like me for 3 hours. But as soon as the game's over, regardless of the score, we're going to hug each other and tell each other we love each other.
Absolutely. So we talked a little bit about COVID and how it hurt in March. How has it been since then and now going into 2021?
I haven't seen my kids since March 13th. I haven't seen them, not once. And we don't know where this is going, so it's become a prayerful thing for me. I don't understand how we can't figure a way out scientifically and health-wise to get these kids back on the field. And the reason I say that is I've been a teacher for 30 years, and we got to get our kids back in the classroom. I'm losing kids. Kids are just going south. They're sick of it. I'm sick of it. But I tell our kids all the time, we can't lose fact of the health restraints that we have here. We can't just all go back to a classroom and just bundle in there like we did before. We can't. We cannot just go back to a baseball field and everybody giving high fives and, sitting 2 feet apart or 2 inches apart. I get that. And I know our district, I know Fontana Unified is doing everything in their power to get every sport back on the field. I hope they figure it out. I really hope they figure it out. And I'll tell you why. I have 11 seniors. What a shame if those kids don't get to play baseball. 11 seniors. Last year I had 5 that didn't even get to finish their senior years. So I'm very hopeful. I'm prayerful. that we get this figured out. It's and I'm on a little personal note. I had school was over on March 13th, and baseball was over on March 13th, and I had a drinking problem, and I went and got some help for it, and I've been sober today, 214 days, and I've never been happier.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been more blessed. But I used that time to do something positive for myself.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't easy to go check yourself into a facility and stay away from your family for several days. That wasn't easy, but it was necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just how my life's been. You got to do what's best for me first so I can take care of the people around me. The relationships that I've developed since then are freaking amazing. To get my kids back in my life on a full-time basis,
mm-hmm.
to be able to have a conversation with my wife and remember what I talked about tomorrow, So COVID's been good for me because I was able to get some shit in my own life straightened out, and it was really necessary. It wasn't something I should have done. It was something I had to do. And I've known for a while, but it just, it was like the perfect storm. I found out on the 13th that school was going to get canceled. I found out on the 16th that baseball was going to get canceled. I was in the facility on the 18th. So it's like, let's take advantage of this.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm a better person. I'm a better father. I'm a better friend. And I'm not ashamed of it. A lot of people are ashamed of shit like that. I'm not. I'm proud of it. Because a lot of people die because of it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't make it. A lot of people don't make it into those rooms. I made it.
Yep.
And I made it out. So I'm really proud of myself. And that's why I really want to get back to baseball, because I know I'm going to be different. It's going to be a whole different man. And I'm really proud of that. And I'm anxious to get back on the field in this new state of mind.
I love it, because anytime I tell people, don't be ashamed of your journey or your testimony.
Thank you.
Because I love talking to coaches about, you hear about all the different ways that they've sacrificed or moved things around. And frankly, we all sacrifice for what we want.
Mm-hmm.
The question is to what extent. Right. And for you to give the testimony about it is what I've been preaching on this program for the last several months, is if you're not creating content, and I don't care what that content looks like, whether that's continued education for you, whether that's working out, whether that's building relationships, it's the room we're currently sitting in. If you're not going to build content for yourself and better yourself right now, you never will.
That's right.
Because, frankly, when I should be running an umpire camp right now, all the campuses are closed. Mm-hmm. During baseball season, I'm gone every weekend, versus now I got to actually be home. So everything is different.
That's right.
And you need to take that time and not just sit on your thumbs and go, woe is me, baseball's gone, my life. No.
There's something else to do.
Let's make ourselves better during this time.
So I'm glad you said that, because so often, people are ashamed of their skeletons.
Mm-hmm.
They've been there for a while, and I come from a family full of that disease, full of it. I've buried family members from that disease, and it's okay. But like you said, what are you doing to be better? Are you just sitting on your hands,
mm-hmm.
waiting for baseball or school to start up again? No. I just happened to get up one morning and I walked in the bathroom and I looked at myself. I didn't like what I saw. It's fucking time to change. No one sent me. Police didn't send me. Judge didn't send me. I sent me. It's that character thing. It's what I'm about. I've always been about character. But I can't expect people to have character if I don't have any.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Now I have a different expectation of my students, of my kids, of my baseball players, of my wife, but more importantly, I have a different expectation of me. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And you look at marathon runners, and when they get injured, or any athlete, they ask, how were you able to get back? And they talk about, because I knew I could, because I've done it.
That's right.
And that skill can transcend anything if we allow it to be the new focus to scope us. Now, you talk about that you did this for you. Now you're using that this platform and your coaching platform to say to anyone, this is my testimony. It can be done. Just like you can go and run a marathon by going 1 mile at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You may hurt. It may suck.
That's right.
It may take you 6 months, 6 years, or 6 weeks, or anything in between. But you can get there if you're willing to put in the work. Mm-hmm. And the work isn't sexy, but it is necessary.
That's right. Absolutely. Sleeping in that facility for several days in a twin bed, away from my family. No visitors because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Not seeing my wife for several days. It was damn worth it. It was so worth it. And I would do it again, but I'm never going to have to. I won't have to do it again. But you're right, you know. You don't get any joy unless you get some pain first. And, you know, I've had a great professional baseball career, a great baseball career. I've got 2 great kids. I have 3 great kids. I have an 8-year-old daughter that I married into, and I just love her to death. She just so much joy around the house. She doesn't ever have to see me drunk again. She doesn't ever see me passed out again. We can laugh. But all the accomplishments I've had in my life, this is the biggest one I've ever had, these last 214 days. I've never accomplished anything like this. And 215 days ago, I didn't know I could do it.
So, last question, and it's always the same for everybody, which seems a little bit underwhelming at this point, but if you could give one message of hope right now to former players, current players, booster, community, your coaches, what would be your one message of hope as we go and prepare for the 2021 season?
My message would be that nothing bad lasts forever. Nothing. We've had bad times for thousands and thousands of years, and they all go away. And good times always follow. Good things always follow. So I would suggest that people look at the good things that have come out of this terrible time, because everyone has something good that's come out of this. Everybody. And I know people have lost their homes, people have lost their jobs, people have lost their lives. And there's some good in all of that too. There's some good in all of that. And I just hope people can get deep enough to find the good, because every time you turn on the TV, we hear about the bad. Every time you turn on the news, we hear about the bad. You know, so I'm looking for the good. I know my Jurupa Hills kids, those kids waiting to get back on the field, they mean everything to me. Gavin and Sosa and Caesar and my athletic director, Kristen, just what a great support system. I could not be this successful without those people and without those baseball players. So I would encourage them to find something good from this time. Find something good, because it's going to be good again. Mm-hmm. It's going to be good again. It's going to be great again. We just have to weather this storm. It's just like you don't go out in the... You know, my grandpa used to tell me sometimes, if your parents left you out in the rain when you were 5 years old, shame on them. If you're still sitting in the rain at 25 years old, shame on you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so find some good. Find some good. Make some decisions that affect not only my life and your life, but someone else's life. Because it's necessary right now. A lot of people are hurting. And now's a good time to reach out to some of those people and give them some hope and some encouragement. There's nothing more powerful than a hug, and a smile, and a pat on the back.
Absolutely. So, Leon, thank you for being on the program.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
If anybody would like to be on the program, please reach out. Past that, God bless. Be safe.